The room smelled faintly of wine and polished wood, a subtle reminder that appearances mattered here more than reality. Could feel it before he even touched the mic, the shift in energy that always precedes a confrontation. Conversations dimmed, laughter faltered, and all eyes were now on us. I tried to steady my breathing. He took the mic like it was an extension of himself, instrument to perform ownership over the life we shared. "That scarecrow is my wife," he announced, and in the same breath lifted an old photograph. I recognized it instantly, me, years younger, in a moment I had tried to forget. The room gasped. The photo held the kind of power that isn't loud but undeniable. I stood frozen, though inside everything raced. The photo wasn't a lie. The story it implied wasn't the full story. My identity wasn't trapped in that image. And yet, the silence made the accusation heavier than anything I had felt before. I scanned the faces around me, some shocked, others confused, smirking. And then I saw her, Mrs. Callahan, our mutual friend and an unofficial authority at these events. Her eyes lingered on me, waiting, not in judgment, but in recognition. In that instant, realized leverage didn't always come from the person holding the mic. Sometimes it came from those who chose to witness truth. Mind replayed fragments, the late nights, the private victories, the people who had seen me build my career, my choices, my life. This photograph, this moment, it was a dagger he thought could define me. But it wasn't. It couldn't. I didn't respond immediately. Silence, I reminded myself, could speak louder than any outburst. The room grew uncomfortable under the weight of my hesitation, his satisfaction faltering. That's when Mrs. Callahan stepped forward subtly, leaning into the microphone for her own announcement, calm but deliberate. She didn't need to name names. She didn't need to accuse. She simply confirmed the context only I and a few others knew. The room shifted, authority had intervened, quietly, without spectacle. Felt the small but undeniable shift. He had expected a performance, a submission. Instead, the room had acknowledged my reality without him. That was leverage. That was power. I finally stepped forward, with rage or dramatic flair, but with measured composure. My voice, steady and calm, carried through the hall. Photograph is part of my history, but it is not the definition of who I am today. No one cheered. No one booed. There was simply recognition, a quiet acceptance that the story he tried to tell wasn't the only story. I paused, that hang in the air, and then continued. We all carry pieces of ourselves that are misinterpreted, taken out of context, or even weaponized. What matters is how we choose to move forward. My words weren't accusatory, they weren't dramatic, were mine, controlled, deliberate, and unwavering. He lowered the mic, blinking, suddenly unsure of the scene he had created. He had intended chaos. Instead, he met quiet dignity. The crowd's focus had shifted. The narrative he wanted to dominate had slipped from his grasp without a single shout. I returned to my seat, feeling a sense of calm I hadn't expected. My identity was intact. My story, though bruised, was still mine to tell, and the photograph, well, it would remain on the wall of memory, but it no longer had the authority to define me. As the night went on, conversations resumed, polite and cautious. He said nothing more, no attempt to reclaim the stage. The leverage was subtle, quiet, but undeniable. And for the first time that evening, I realized victory didn't have to be loud to matter. It didn't need to humiliate, punish, or dominate. It only needed to exist, real and intact. Later, I would replay the moment in my mind, dissecting every glance, every pause. There would be no dramatic reconciliation, no public apology, no neat ending. The relationship's future remained uncertain. I didn't need certainty. I had reclaimed a part of myself that had been shadowed by his assumptions. Walking out, felt the weight lift slightly, not because he had been proven wrong, but because I had reminded myself who I truly was. That quiet empowerment, subtle and internal, was enough. The world hadn't erupted in applause, and perhaps it never would. I had found my own authority, a calm dignity that no photograph, no mic, no public declaration could take away. That quiet victory, I felt something rare, the kind of control that isn't loud or flashy, but quietly undeniable, residing entirely within me.